Does the president believe that they now have the votes to pass health care reform?
Chris, we'll have the votes when the House votes, I think, within the next week. And I think whoever sits here this time next week, you all will be talking about health care reform, not as a presidential proposal, but as something that will soon be the law of the land.
But that it will have passed the House by a week from today?
I believe that will be true, yes.
Why are you so confident?
Because I think the American people understand, and I think there's growing momentum in Congress that we can't do nothing. What happens if we walk away from reform right now is what has happened to millions of Americans who are getting letters from their health insurance companies that their health insurance premiums are skyrocketing. The president's going to travel to Ohio tomorrow, near the hometown of a woman named Natoma Canfield. She wrote the president back in December. The president gets letters and reads them. Her health insurance skyrocketed. She had to make a decision, she said, even after increasing her deductibles and increasing her copays to try to keep her rates down. The insurance company increased her rates anyway. She had to decide, she said in that letter to the president, do I keep the house that's been in my family since the 50s, or do I pick health insurance? Chris, she decided to keep her house. Miss Canfield's now in the hospital. She's going to get a huge, huge insurance bill because her health insurance jacked up her rates and she couldn't afford it. The president believes, and I think members of Congress believe, that in a country as strong as the United States of America, you shouldn't have to decide between keeping your house or keeping your health care.
Does the president agree with the Senate parliamentarian that he is going to have to sign the overhaul, the major overhaul, into law before the Senate can take up the reconciliation fix-it bill? And if that is the case, what is the assurance that he and the Senate are going to be able to give the House that the fix-it bill will ever pass the Senate and become law? Well,
look, Chris, I'll let the Senate parliamentarian determine what has to be done and when on health care. I will say this. The president is talking to both members of the House and members of the Senate who've passed health care reform with a supermajority late last year about making sure that the technical corrections and the fixes that the president wants to see as part of health care reform, a lot of the deals that were put into that bill are taken out. That's what we want to see, and we think, we do think, again, that the House will pass this and the Senate and the House will take up those corrections, and that will all become law.
But is there a promise he can give the House that the fixes will go through the Senate?
Well, I think he can give assurances to the House that he's working just as hard to make sure that the Senate passes those corrections as he is in trying to get the House to pass the underlying bill.